and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and go over my top 10 winter designer fragrances. Now I usually do this every year around the 21st or the solstice of as soon as winter starts, but I decided to start doing it differently, as many of you have seen, and started releasing it a month earlier. And the reason for that is a lot of people start asking me when am I going to release my winter fragrance video or my summer fragrances video, because they want to buy the fragrances before the season starts. And so this is to kind of help them along. And in general, I feel it's kind of a little bit easier to do than around the holidays. So that's why I do it there. All right. Now, a couple of ground rules before we go ahead and get started. First ground rule is this video is my video. These are my selections, all right? So that means these are the fragrances that I'm going to be wearing for it. They're not a top 10 list. They're not a best complimented. They're not the best fragrances that you can get for your buck. These are my fragrances that I like wearing. So hopefully this should reduce those questions and comments that I usually get of fragrance X is clearly better than fragrance Y, or fragrance Y is clearly better than fragrance X. Hopefully we can go ahead and put those down a little bit. They'll never get rid of those type of comments, but either way, that's what this video is, for those of you who wanted to know. And the second most important thing is winter. This is the top 10 winter fragrances, and for those of you who are outside of the United States, that basically means I'm from New York, and the temperature here in winter usually gets anywhere between like 60 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So it gets pretty cold here, and that's why I kind of wanted to state that, so that you have some sort of frame of reference of what type of fragrances I'm looking for. In general, I look for fragrances that are heavier, fragrances that tend to have a little bit of a stronger presence than those fragrances in the summer. So most of the fragrances that I wear in the winter tend to be heavier than any other season that I actually wear. All right? So with that, let's go ahead and get right into the actual fragrances. Coming in at number 10, we have a fragrance that has been in my collection for quite a long time. This fragrance is, a darling within the community, and it's synonymous with fall. We're talking about Burberry's London. Now, Burberry London, it's got this, nice little felt thing. Now, Burberry London is a fragrance that I typically wear for those special occasions. And by special occasions, I generally mean like family gathering events. I'm talking about Thanksgiving. I'm talking about Christmas. I'm talking about any event where family kind of gets together. That's generally where I tend to wear Burberry London. It's a very comforting scent. It's got some spices. It's got like a dry leaf kind of a smell that reminds me of dried leaves. You know that smell when you rake up leaves, if you've ever raked up leaves, and you kind of smell the wet leaves, the wet earthiness coming up. That's what this fragrance reminds me of. And it's a very comforting and a very soothing fragrance. It's not one that I generally wear outside to any other type of event. So mostly speaking, I generally tend to only wear this one like maybe 2-4 times a season maximum. Usually it's 2 times a season when I'm talking about the winter. So I generally don't wear this one too much, but I thought that it should be in my list because it does make those special occasions, all right? So Burberry London at number 10. Number 9, we have a fragrance that's probably going to be supplanted by a newer version of it, and we're talking about Dolce & Gabbana's The One. Now the One, when I talked about a fragrance being supplanted, they recently came off with a more an intense version of the One, which is something that the community has been hawking about for a while now. Now I have a review of this fragrance coming up next week, so be sure to look out for that one if you're interested in that fragrance. And I have to say that this fragrance itself, it's a very berry smell. It's got like dried fruits, dried berries. It's very comforting, very warm. It's a fragrance that I generally tend to wear when I don't want to scream and shout in the winter. I've never really had the problems that other people have had with the projection on this fragrance and with the performance on this fragrance, so it goes pretty well for me. That said, it is still on the lower side as far as the actual performance goes. So that should be one thing of note. But for me, perfect. I generally tend to wear it when I don't really want to scream and shout. And I generally tend to wear it for casual occasions. All right? Number 8 is a fragrance from the house of Thierry Mugler. We're talking about Pure Havane. Pure Havane is a fragrance that I've fallen in love with, and I liked instantly the moment that I actually smelled this fragrance. Now this fragrance or its primary use, for me at least, is when I go out and I'm out with friends and we're drinking, we're having a good time. this is where I tend to bust this one out. It's a sweeter fragrance. It's a little bit more inviting. It says it kind of has like a Cuban cigar feel, but it's not a true cigar feel. It's really kind of like Amen, Angel Men kind of mixed in with cherry and with fruits. That's really where Pure Havane comes in, and it does excellent for its occasion. So Pure Havane at number 8. At number 7, we have a fragrance from the house of Chanel. The fragrance is a little bit more aggressive, and it's one of my ones that I wear when I know I'm going to be outside, and I know I'm going to be outside for an extended period of time, and I still want people to smell me. We're talking about Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme. Now, Allure Homme Sport Extreme is a fragrance that has, it's another fragrance with a spicy tinge to it. It's got some vanilla. It's a souped up version of Allure Homme Sport. It's a more aggressive version of Allure Homme Sport. This one I would consider more of a winter fragrance, whereas Allure Homme Sport is more of a summer spring fragrance. So they're kind of like there's a little dichotomy going on there. Now this fragrance, again, is one that I wear outside generally, where I want people to smell me, and I know I'm going to be outside for an extended period of time. So that's generally when I wear this one. Allure Homme Sport Extreme, fabulous fragrance. Not regretting that I picked this one up at all, right? At number 7. Number 6, we have a fragrance that is more on the lighter side, but it's a rock star in its own right. I really want to buy its flanker as soon as my fragrance embargo is finished. We are talking about Terre de Hermès. Now, Terre de Hermès is a fragrance from the house of Hermès that has more of a, I guess you could say more of a citrus vibe. It's very known for its dirty, earthy type of a smell. It's got a dirty, earthy citrus, almost like orange peels being freshly peeled, and at the same time just kind of rubbed around in dirt, which sounds really weird, but it works. It's really my mainstay for wanting to smell fresh in the winter from the designer side, because it has the power, has the longevity, and it has the versatility to be able to successfully kind of maneuver itself in those scenarios. So Terre de Hermès is my fresh fragrance for the winter. Number 5, we've got another one from the house of Terry Mugler. The fragrance we're talking about is called Pure Leather. Now, Pure Leather has supplanted itself as, it used to be my favorite fragrance from the house of Terry Mugler. Now, by favorite, I mean clearly that it used to be the one that I used to go to most often, but I liked the smell of it quite simply, as compared to Pure Malt, Pure Malt, and Pure Havane, which both of them I actually wear more than this one. But I've always liked the smell of Angel Men and Angel Men Pure Leather, which I consider more of a souped-up version of Angel Men. Now, this fragrance is another one that I generally tend to wear when I know I'm going to be outside for extended periods of time, and I want to smell good. I want to smell distinctive. This is one that really smells distinctive enough that people clearly notice you and will comment on it, mostly in a positive way. I've never gotten a negative comment on it, but for those of you whose skin doesn't mix well with this one, you might want to be careful. Coming in at number 4, we have a fragrance from the house of Dior. We're talking about, and it should be, if you've been following my channel, no secret, we're talking about Dior Homme Intense. Now, Dior Homme Intense, this baby right here it's got like this lipsticky, Play-Doh-y, iris type of a smell with some cocoa going into it, and it's a fragrance that catches most people by surprise. Whenever I tell people what this fragrance actually smells like, their next reaction is almost always, "Oh, that smells like lipstick? Why would you want to wear something like that?" Until they smell the smell, and then they completely change their tune and are immediately like, "Where can I get that bottle? Where can I find it? I gotta pick it up." That's this one right here. It's got strength, it's got power. I wear this one when I know that I'm going to be both outside and inside at the same time. Switching between the two, it does well in any scenario, and people are going to be able to smell you a good ways away, and that's really where I choose to wear this bad boy, alright? So we're talking about Dior Homme Intense from the house of Dior. Next one, coming in number 3, is a longtime favorite. We are talking about Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Male. Lamal, this is the original bottle. I have heard that this one has been reformulated, and I did get to try the new one. It didn't exactly smell the same, but more importantly, it didn't have the power that this one has. This one, 20 plus hours easily. And the best thing about Lamal is as time goes on, it just gets better and better and better. And by the time it gets to the dry down, it's just magical. The opening to me for this is nothing compared to the dry down. The dry down is really where the magic happens. Now, I feel sorry for people who who get the more recent version, the one that's reformulated, because it's really not the same as this Rockstar. So if you can, and you're looking for it, search for a bottle that's circa, I want to say 2012. I don't know when specifically they reformulated this, but you want to look for an older bottle, so you might be better off buying off somebody who's selling one of theirs. All right? Number 2, we've got, man, one of my all-time favorites, and it is, it's just so high up on the list. We're talking about Yves Saint Laurent's M7. M7 is a fragrance that, I say it's been discontinued. Some people have been able to find it. There's a more recent version of M7 out. But this is the original bottle for it, and it just does magic. This is one that Becky's actually smelled this one. Becky, my fiance, for those of you who don't know. And her reaction was she didn't like it initially when she smelled it, until she smelled it on me, and she was like, wow. I passed her one day when I was wearing it. She's like, wow, what is it that you're wearing? And I told her, and she was like, oh, did I like that in your video? I was like, nah, you didn't like it. Or you gave it like an average rating. But either way, this is one that catches people by surprise. And with my skin, it mixes so magically. This would be number 1 if I didn't wear, or if I wore the other fragrance a little bit more frequently, if you will. The other one, I kind of treat, as you're going to see, as a winter treat, if you will. But anyways, still a great score. This is number 2 on my list for the winter, Yves Saint Laurent's M7. The number 1 fragrance for the winter this year, what I am going to be wearing, this is a fragrance that I can wear in almost any single occasion that I can think of. It's magical. It gets the almost the most compliments that I've seen out of any other fragrance that I've come across. We are talking about Yves Saint Laurent's La Nuit de l'Homme. Right? Now, La Nuit de l'Homme, the Night of the Man, this fragrance is just a powdery, magical beauty. It's one that I constantly, suggest to people, and they always come back to me and say, oh man, that was right on the money. It got me compliments. I feel confident. That's what this does. It makes you feel confident. It makes you feel well put together. You're smelling great. You're smelling great. It's good for almost any occasion that you can wear. The one thing you want to be careful of is don't over-apply this one, because you can easily over-apply it. But anyways, a fantastic fragrance in that own right. All right? So that is my number 1 fragrance. So again, with lists, I am always curious to see what everyone else is wearing. I've been wearing a lot of old school goodies, and that's really what I've found a lot of fragrances that I like. But I'm curious to see what you guys are wearing. And in particular, with this video, I'm concerned and want to hear about the designer fragrances that you guys have been wearing. So let me know what they are. Always curious, all right? Thank you guys. Take care of yourselves, and you guys have a great day.